Okay, I think everything's up and running. So we are at Squamish in British Columbia in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and we have the de Havilland DHC2 Beaver in front of us that we're going to be flying with call sign 93 Echo. And we're going to be using say intentions along the way. Oh look, you can see some geese flying overhead. How cool. This is the Orbex version of Squamish, by the way, which I think is introducing the geese to be flying past. I'll have to avoid them when I'm flying around the area, won't I? So let's go and check the volume levels. They're looking good. Okay, so let's have a little look at the map. So we are up in Squamish, as you can see, and we're going to fly down the inlet past Anvil Island and Gambler Island, and we're going to come down towards Vancouver. We'll have a little look around Vancouver while we're flying around and head towards eventually to the Vancouver VOR. It'll be interesting to see if we get directed at all, because obviously we're going to depart. This is an uncontrolled airport. This is half the reason for doing this, just to see how that works with doing our own announcements over the radio. So we're using say intentions. And then we'll head down towards Vancouver and then carry on. So once we depart, we'll obviously contact Centre and request a VFR with flight following from them, and hopefully they'll then hand us off as we need to be handed off to different controllers along the way. Okay, so it should be good fun. We'll do a couple of touch and goes. Although I've penciled in the route around the San Juan Islands, we'll go flying around all over the place trying them out. I've got the various airports from Orbex installed, so I've got Anacortes, I've got Orcas installed. Obviously, Friday Harbour has got an upgraded airport that comes with the simulator, so it should be good fun just to fly along and see how we get on. Okay, so first things first, we're going to go into Say Intentions, and we're going to go and click on CTAF, which stands for Common Traffic Advisory Frequency. And for all intents and purposes, although it's not the same thing as Unicom, kind of is. So I'm not going to get into the weeds of it. I've been reading about it this evening, about what the difference is between them. There is subtle differences, but for our purposes, CTAF and Unicom are interchangeable. So basically, if you're at an uncontrolled airfield, there is a convention that everybody in the nearby area tunes their radios to the Common Traffic Advisory Frequency, and then they broadcast their intentions of what they are doing to nearby traffic. So that's what we're going to be doing. Right, I need to clear something up as well that came up on the previous flight. We had something go wrong with the simulator on the previous flight, and as we taxied out to the runway, we heard the exact same conversation happening on the radio. I found out why. If you look in the settings of Say Intentions and you go and look in Multiplayer, there are various options. You can have in the background pre-recorded AI-generated conversations, so you just so you don't have just dead space on the radio all the time. You can also have live multiplayer wherever they are, so regardless of distance. You can also listen to live multiplayer that are nearby. So then it simulates the radio fading away in the distance. And this is the thing we should have had switched off that we had switched on. I'm going to leave it on today, but this is what caused it. Pre-recorded multiplayer proximity. So in other words, from the recent past, or at some point in the past. So in order to populate the world with realistic sounding radio communications, Say Intentions caches the conversations that have happened between humans and the air traffic services service and plays them back when you are in the vicinity. So that explains what we were hearing. So if we got another option here, look, share my audio. So allow my audio to be heard by other Say Intentions.ai pilots. Checking this box means my audio can be heard on the website, used for chatter or for promotional purposes. So there you go. So we can go and turn that on. I don't really mind. We can also control the amount of chatter we're hearing. So I'll just leave it as it is for the moment. So that just explains why we were hearing a repeated conversation. It's because basically we retraced our steps in an aircraft at the same time, and the conversation triggered at the same time. Okay, so as I said, we are at Anacortes. Oh, no, sorry, at Squamish. We're going to head down towards Anacortes. So if I go for the drone camera, and I've only got the keyboard control of it this evening. I haven't got the Xbox controller plugged in, but just to show you a little bit about the airfield, so you can see it's really, really nicely modelled. This version of Squamish. And the nearby area is absolutely gorgeous. So, let's go and do our walk around and get rid of the tie downs. And there are some hefty tie downs, aren't they? How do we get rid of these? Is there a particular place we have to click to get rid of them? Okay, I'm going to have to figure this one out. Oh, there's probably another one somewhere else we have to do. Yeah, it was just the chocks did them at the same time, look. These textures on the ground are great, aren't they? The crunching underfoot as we walk around. So we're just having a quick look at the aeroplane, make sure it's okay. We can wiggle control surfaces as we go, or we should be able to. Maybe not on this one. And we should be able to then climb up and get in the aeroplane. Okay, so let's go and get some power on. I'm going to get rid of the yoke out of our way for the moment. We've got the version without a GPS. I can't see the problem of the issue of having a GPS. We've got a basic autopilot down here, which will be good enough for us. So it's got heading mode and various other bits and bobs, and you've got the controls for that within the cockpit, so we should be okay. Famous last words, of course. So that's the... I'm just checking what does what around the cockpit. Yeah, there's the heading bug. So anyway, comm radio and nav radios over here, and I put some fuel in the aeroplane. We have actually got the route penciled in on the tablet as well, so that's going to be helpful while we're en route. So we'll see that moving on the map. Okay, so we need to go and get the airplane up and running, don't we? So let's go and get the batteries on. And the beacon light can come on. And we've put the mixture to rich. We will advance the propeller to full speed and make sure the parking brake is on. Use the sensor tank, that's fine. So the magnetos go to both. Go fuel boost for a few seconds, and we can exercise the throttle while we are doing that, and then turn the fuel boost back off, and let's try it. Okay, what have we missed? Where are the... Maybe we do need the fuel boost in this version of it. Let's try it. Yeah. Different versions of this have varied on that over time. Once you get the engine up and running, you can just leave it there and we'll run it up a little bit. So RPM's up here somewhere. Yeah, there's the RPM. Take it up to 1000 RPM just to warm it up. And radio's on. We are 122.8, which is the common traffic advisory frequency, so that should be good. If we do hear too much chatter, remember we can always go and turn it down a bit. So let's go put the alternator on. Now the engine's running to generate electricity. Nav lights on. No, we don't need the pitot heat just yet. Although saying that, it's pretty cold outside. There's snow everywhere, so we will put it on early. No strobes until we get to the runway. Is there anything wobbling around? Yeah, the levers. So let's go and tighten the clutches up on the levers to stop them shaking. Okay, I think we're okay. So, this is an uncontrolled airport. Really, we should have made a call out to start our engine. You know, that we were doing it, but we're going to announce the taxi anyway. We would have looked around ourselves in the real world, I guess, and shouted clear as well. But we're going to say the name of the airport, what type and call sign we are, and that we are taxiing to the runway. So let's go and have a look and see what the wind is doing outside. There's 1 knot. So we'll go to whatever's the closest end of the runway. Coming down this way, that implies going to runway 33, so we'll be backtracking to runway 33. So our initial announcement is just taxiing to the runway. So let's go and put head tracking on so we can see around ourselves. It looks really lovely here, doesn't it? I'm just going to check we've got the live weather on, because this doesn't look... This looks too good to be true. No. Flight Sim, for whatever reason, has started launching the sim for me with no weather, which is never great. There we go. Much more snow. Much more what we were expecting. Very pretty. Okay, so let's have a check that wind. The wind hasn't changed, look, it's still 1 knot. It's quite sheltered down here in the valley. So we're going to make our announcement on the CTAF frequency. Squamish traffic, Beaver 93 Echo, taxiing to the runway. These new trees look amazing with the snow on them, don't they? I hadn't seen them before. That is amazing. Very, very good. So the only problem with airplanes like this is seeing out of the, you know, around the nose. So we're going to put, I'm holding back stick to put some pressure into the tail wheel. So any thrust, one of the nice things about the simulator is any thrust obviously coming off the propeller will hit the tail. So therefore, if you have some elevator deflection, you can force the tail wheel into the ground, which will cause it to grip better. Okay, so we need to announce our intentions again. So we are going to announce that we are backtracking for, what was the runway called? 33. So I'm just going to put the parking brake on for a moment. Squamish traffic, Beaver 93 Echo, backtracking to runway 33. Should go inside. So when we initially take off, we won't contact centre straight away. We'll stay in the vicinity of the airport and do a couple of orbits. But when we get off on our way, we'll contact centre and tell them where we're going, what our intentions are. winding the flaps down a notch, because I don't fancy hitting that tree line at the end of the runway. Okay, Squamish traffic, Beaver 93 Echo, departing runway 33. So I'm using a fair amount of rudder to keep the thing straight, but as it picks up speed it gets easier and easier. Squamish traffic, Beaver 93 Echo, airborne, runway 33. Okay, so we really don't have any more communication to make about us just flying around the area. Only if we stay away from pattern, distance and altitude, we don't need to worry about them so much. So we'll stay high. Oh, this the Beaver's got a fantastic engine. Just winding the flaps back in. Slow the propeller down. So did we put the... yeah, we got the pitot heat on, it's good. I'm just checking what we've got on. We should have put the strobes on the runway, I completely forgot while I was busy talking. I'm just going to check around as well, see what radio kit we've got. So obviously transponder is on, it's on 1200 at the moment. But when we make that call to centre, that'll make a bit more sense. I'm just looking for the airport. There it is, just out of view below us. It's pretty snowy up here, isn't it? Yeah, the Beavers are famous for a reason. They're just so good at low altitude. You know, trudging around in the thick air. It's giving it a bit of trim. It's rolling to the left with the torque all the time. So, you know, propeller goes one way, body tries to go the other way. It's not really rocket science, is it? It's a lovely aeroplane. So seeing as there's hardly any wind around, just before we depart, should we do a touch and go at Squamish? Look at the map, get some bearings of where we are. We're just going out towards the hill over here, so runway 15 will be turning back in. Squamish traffic, Beaver 93 Echo, downwind, turning base for runway 15, touch and go. I'm just going to side slip us, we're a little bit quick for putting the flaps down. So look at the speed fall off with side slipping. Squamish traffic, Beaver 93 Echo on finals, runway 15 for touch and go. It's just another chance to see the trees, really. They look so good, don't they? Squamish traffic, Beaver 93 Echo departing runway 15. Let's see, I'm just going to check the volume levels to make sure you can, yeah, you can hear me over the radio, oh sorry, over the engine, can't you? I'm never quite aware of how loud I am versus the engine. You know, for listeners, it's difficult to tell. Just having a little look at the engine gauge over there. Okay, so we are going to change to, we're coming up to 500 feet. It seems lower than that, doesn't it? So once we get above 700, I think, I'm just going to show you something here. So looking on LittleNavMap, which I'm using for to know which areas we're in. If you look here, Class E airspace, E for everyone. That's how people tend to remember it. Let me just straighten the airplane up. So Class E airspace, anything from 700 foot above ground level up to 9,500 feet is Class E. So I need to contact Vancouver, which will be the centre controller as far as St. Intentions is concerned, hopefully. So we're going to make our call to Vancouver. Vancouver Centre, Beaver 93 Echo with you, departing Squamish, heading for Anacortes, VFR, with flight following.
Nobody is listening on 121.4.
Ah, we have no centre. That means this has let us down. Oh, that's clearance. Sorry, centre. That's my mistake, look. So we'll go to centre instead. Vancouver Centre, Beaver 93 Echo with you, departing Squamish, heading for Anacortes, VFR with flight following.
At our 1 o'clock, about 2 kilometers away, you'll see the Altus Mountain Guides. This place is a hub for outdoor enthusiasts, especially those who love climbing and skiing. Established in 1997, it has become a go-to spot for adventure seekers looking to explore the stunning mountain terrain of the Coast Mountains. The guides here are not just instructors. They are passionate adventurers who have spent years honing their skills in these rugged landscapes. They offer everything from ice climbing to backcountry skiing, making it a popular destination for thrill seekers. So, if you ever feel the urge to conquer a peak or glide down fresh powder, this is the place to be.
It just started working. Something went wrong then, didn't it? So let's resume. I thought it was me, but I think it may have been a fault in the system itself. So Vancouver Centre, Squawk 4221 and ident. Squawk 221 and ident. Beaver 93 Echo. So Squawk 221. I'm going to have to turn the head tracking off to do this. And trim the airplane out because it's diving around all over the place.
Center, KLM 1975 with you, flight level 200.
KLM 1975, Vancouver Center identified. Good evening.
The turbulence from the hills, I'm going to have to put the autopilot on to be able to look down. This is half the problem of Flight Simulator when you have fiddly buttons that are miles away from where you're looking. So what was the frequency? 4221. 4221 and ident. And that's the danger. You look down because you have to look across the cockpit, and head tracking is too variable to be able to do it. And then you look up
Beaver
and you're flying a hillside.
Radar contact, 6 miles south of Squamish Airport at 1100 feet, heading 198, Squamish QNH 30.56.
Squamish QNH 3056, Beaver 93 Echo. So we are basically on flight following now, so the controller will keep an eye on us. So we can go and put head tracking back on now.
Beaver 93 Echo, contact Vancouver approach on 128.175.
Contacting Vancouver approach on 128.175, Beaver 93 Echo. Vancouver approach, Beaver 93 Echo with you, departing Squamish en route to Anacortes VFR with flight following.
Beaver 93 Echo, Vancouver approach. Good afternoon, Squamish QNH 30.56.
There we go. I don't think we need to always confirm it. Because that's just informational. Normally you only need to confirm instruction and information that is important to your flight. We'll see if they'll obviously repeat it back if they're expecting a response. So as I said earlier, we've got it switched on, so in order to fill dead space on the radio, now and again it's going to play recordings that have been cached. Yeah, otherwise you might only get one or two, you know, it depends on the airspace you're in. But if you're somewhere that's pretty dead, then... Okay, let's go and speed up a bit. Let's get the throttle open and go and get the autopilot on. By the time I've moved the heading bug round and fought with my head moving, we'll have hit a hillside probably. Yeah, I've had to disengage the autopilot. This is the huge problem with Flight Simulator. In a real plane, you can obviously use your fingers to feel out where the controls are, look a different direction with your head, and control the aeroplane with the other hand. In the simulator, you can't. Still doing it, look. If I miss by 1 pixel, then it becomes a problem. Well, I'm going to turn head tracking off because it's such an angle down here to get to this. So we're going to go for 2,000 feet, which makes sense. And altitude hold. So see, there we go. Look,
Air Canada 227, turn left heading 225.
We can relax now. So to do some examples of some landings, when we get down towards the San Juan Islands, there's lots and lots of airfields. Or we'll go do touch and goes at loads of them before we go to Anacortes. Should be good fun. So we're just coming down. What's the name of this stretch of water? So Harris Sound, but is it called that up here as well? These maps aren't very good for this sort of thing. I guess ideally we want something like some charts of the ocean, don't we? Google Maps isn't very good at naming the passages of water. So the controller didn't give us any altitude restrictions, did they? So we should be good to go.
Beaver 93 Echo, Vancouver approach. I need to amend your flight. Can you tell me your destination?
Destination is Anacortes, Beaver 93 Echo.
Beaver 93 Echo, roger. Destination Anacortes. You already have flight following. Continue on current heading.
Continuing on current heading of Beaver 93 Echo. It does make a difference, doesn't it, having ATC for VFR?
Beaver 93 Echo, continuing on current heading, roger.
Makes a huge difference. Makes it feel like you're not just up here on your own, tootling around. I mean, it's a bit different for me if I'm live streaming anyway, because I can communicate obviously with all the people watching on the live stream, and we usually have a bit of a conversation, and that fills the time. But if you're flying on your own, having this available is really good. And for example, if we go into Intercom, yeah, we've got our tour guide configured at the moment, so we can ask the tour guide stuff. It's interesting that it got the buttons mixed up earlier. So, can you tell us a bit about the Squamish area in British Columbia?
The Squamish area is known for its stunning natural beauty, featuring the iconic Squamish Chief Mountain, which is a popular destination for rock climbers and hikers. The region is also home to the Sea to Sky Highway, a scenic route that offers breathtaking views of mountains, forests, and the ocean.
That'd be this one.
Additionally, Squamish is famous for its outdoor recreational activities, including mountain biking, kayaking, and skiing in the nearby mountains. The town itself has a rich history tied to the logging and mining industries, and it's a great spot for those who love adventure and the great outdoors.
Mike Bravo,
Comanche Bravo Alpha Charlie, you are cleared into the Vancouver Class Bravo airspace.
Into the Bravo,
See, we're going to be below the main airspaces on the way through. I already had a little look on the map, but we'll follow obviously instruction as we go. But when we come down this way, if you click on some of these areas that we're going to fly through, it's interesting because our route, as written on here, all we've said to the controller is we're getting to Anacortes eventually. How we get there is up to us, so we could skirt around here and avoid coming into this area here. Because has it even got class? No, there's no Class E, is there? Class C, Class B, Class C, Class B, Class C again. Look at the different overlapping areas. There's tons of them, isn't there? So it's Area Control Center 0 to unlimited. But then I'm just looking at the altitude ranges of the different sectors that are near the airport. This is Abbotsford, Vancouver. There you've got Vancouver, British Columbia. Controlled IFR and VFR, ATC clearance required. Transponder required. So we can fly around the area, but it's interesting, isn't it? You'd have to look at the, I guess the Navigraph might have something a bit better. If you go and look at the FAA sectionals, and it'll tell you the area to stay the hell out of. So if we unload that, and we go flight plan, and copy the route, go back into Navigraph, do a new flight, paste that in. So there's our basic route. We're just coming down the Sound still. But there's Vancouver. Oh, it's just off the map, of course, because this is FAA. It's Alaska, and US obviously only starts just. Well, that's a shame. So we can't get to see the big box around it, because LittleNavMap doesn't always render them very nicely. So if we stay to this side, we'll stay out of trouble, basically. So we'll try and thread the needle through here past the Vancouver city, go along the water. So what's this called, Vancouver? Yeah, we'll go over the harbour, because at least then we get some sights to see as well. I'm not sure, obviously Say Intentions is under heavy development all the time, but I'm not sure if they will vector you away from an international airport if you know, obviously you're going to interfere with traffic if you come in directly over the airfield. It might be something worth trying one day for a laugh. So the tour guide volume is very loud. Okay, I'll see if there's something I can do about that. I'm not sure I can. Intercom. So you can have 2 intercom channels, which is interesting. I've only got one mapped at the moment. Multiplayer controls. Headset. Oh, here we go, volume controls, intercom 1, so I've got it set very loud. So if I turn it down a bit, and we'll try it again. What should we ask the tour guide about? What's near here? Horseshoe Bay? Bowen Island. So this is Bowen Island. What can you tell us about Bowen Island?
Bowen Island, located in the beautiful waters of British Columbia,
is
a small island that serves as a reminder of the region's aviation history. It was named after the famous Boeing company, known for its aircraft manufacturing. The island is a popular spot for boaters and kayakers, offering stunning views of the surrounding landscape. Interestingly, it's also a great place for birdwatching, as various species flock to the area. So if you ever find yourself paddling around, keep an eye out for some feathered friends.
What sort of birds do you get on Bowen Island?
Bowen Island is home to a variety of birds, including bald eagles, great blue herons, and various species of songbirds. Birdwatchers often flock to the island to catch a glimpse of these majestic creatures, especially during migration seasons.
See Vancouver out in the distance now. What can you tell us about Vancouver? Let's throw some questions at her about just general knowledge.
Vancouver is a bustling west coast seaport in British Columbia, known for its stunning natural landscapes and diverse culture. It's surrounded by mountains and ocean, making it a haven for outdoor activities like skiing, hiking, and kayaking. The city is also famous for its vibrant neighborhoods, such as Gastown with its historic steam clock, and Granville Island, known for its public market and artisan shops. Vancouver hosted the Winter Olympics in 2010, which showcased its beautiful scenery and sports facilities. Plus, it's a gateway to exploring the stunning landscapes of British Columbia, including nearby Whistler and the Gulf Islands.
Okay, so all I need to do in terms of levels is turn the sim down a bit to get so you can hear me over it easily. That's all I can really do in terms of the engine noise. It's always a struggle to get the sound right because some people want to hear the engine, other people don't. And some planes are louder than others in the cockpit. Okay, so what is Vancouver's history?
Vancouver's history dates back thousands of years, with the Coast Salish peoples being the original inhabitants of the area. European exploration began in the late 18th century, with Captain George Vancouver charting the coastline in 1792. The city itself was officially incorporated in 1886, and it quickly grew due to its strategic location.
WestJet X-ray 75, contact tower on 125.65.
Pacific Railway in 1885
565 for
further boosted
WestJet
its
X-75.
development, making it a key gateway for trade and immigration. Today, Vancouver is known for its diverse population and thriving economy, but its roots are deeply connected to both indigenous cultures and early European settlers.
Yeah, we had the flaps on, someone just noticed. They don't make a huge amount of difference, to be honest, in this airplane, because it is such a kind of flying brick. In terms of speed, they're not an enormous benefit, but they are in terms of lift. Because, yeah, as you can see, it's not the most aerodynamic thing in the universe. Okay, let's get off the autopilot and fly the thing. Get it rolling left immediately. Wasn't the X-Files filmed in Vancouver?
Yes, that's correct. The X-Files was indeed filmed in Vancouver, which served as the backdrop for many of the show's iconic scenes. The city's diverse landscapes and urban settings made it a perfect location for the supernatural and mysterious themes of the series. Vancouver has been a popular filming location for many other shows and movies as well, thanks to its stunning scenery and versatile architecture.
There's a liner down in the harbour. So how does a liner get in there then, if there's this bridge in the way? Presumably there's a channel up that side of the city. You see it on the map probably. It's not so obvious, is it? So we're going to circle the city and see if we get told off by ATC. There's a lot of boats, isn't there? Should we scoot forward in the cockpit so we can see easily? Okay, so if we're going to be navigating our way across, we need to go and have a quick look at the map, figure out what we're going to do. So if we go to the Pit Meadows VOR, what was it? 112.4. So this aeroplane has no aileron trim by the look of it, which is probably realistic, which means you end up having to fight the natural propensity of it to roll all the time with torque. What were we saying? 112.4 was it? Yes. So nav radio. Oh, don't tell me this is another aeroplane where the CDI modes don't work. Got nothing. Oh well. Thankfully we can navigate pretty well just by using the... Isn't that interesting that where there's no snow across there and suddenly there's snow? But it kind of filters in. You can see it building up on some of the rooftops and the fields. And then suddenly it's blanketed over here. It's very cool. It's great how they've done that. Well, someone's on about there. Steve is saying, if you fly low enough, you'll see a bustling city. Well, it does that now, doesn't it? If I just descend a little bit, we're at 3,000 feet at the moment. So I'm just going to descend the engine onto idle, and you can see a little bit of it now. Look. I mean, okay, it's all artificially generated, but it does make it look really good, especially over city neighbourhoods. They still haven't fixed this ginormous tree in the middle of the city here. I've seen this before. Biggest tree ever seen. It's obviously got a scaling issue because all of the nearby trees look normal, and then there's one that's the size of a 20-story building. Surprised we haven't been told off. Okay, so we're heading generally the right direction. I'm going to head for that bridge over the water over there. It looks like a good landmark to go and have a look at for flying VFR heights. But we'll climb back out to say 1,500 feet. Give ourselves some wiggle room. The weather modelling is spectacular now, isn't it? It really is. big old dark clouds rolling across the sky over there. Quite forbidding, aren't they? Yeah, over there we've got the sun bursting through. Let's see if the tour guide knows where we are. What's the name of the bridge that's right in front of us?
The bridge right in front of us is the Alex Fraser Bridge. It's a cable-stayed bridge that spans the Fraser River and connects the municipalities of Richmond and Delta. Opened in 1986, it's named after a former British Columbia politician and is a vital transportation link in the region. The bridge is about 1,200 meters long and offers stunning views of the river and surrounding areas. It's a favorite spot for photographers, especially during sunset.
There you go. So, we've avoided the airport on our way around. We're going to carry on along this coast.
Descend and maintain 4,000. Turn left heading 025, Alaska 930.
Alaska 930, turn right heading 110.
The one thing they've got a little bit wrong, I think, with playing back random bits of chatter is you don't hear the request, or you often don't hear the request and the response. Or you might hear them in the wrong order, even. Well, not the wrong order, but you'll hear, you know, a piece of the conversation where you really would have heard all of it. So Sabine is saying, I'm not a flat earther, but if you can see how far you can see even at 3,000 feet, it does make you wonder a little. All you need to do is go out on a boat somewhere near an offshore wind farm and see how much of the sails you can see from 10 miles away. And I think all flat earthers should be assisted with doing that. And then they'll probably tell you that, oh, but they submerged them into the sea or something like that. I don't know. They'll have some crazy explanation as to how that happens, as to how they get shorter the further away you are. You know, how they lose their height. Anyway, so we're just coming over this headland. I'm just going to see which is the best way to go. So yeah, we're going to carry on down, follow this, the bay or the land on our left along here for a little way. So it's taking us down towards where we want to be. So should we ask the tour guide about this area? So the Strait of Georgia. Oh, let's ask the more general question. What is this body of water called that we're over at the moment?
We're currently over Mud Bay, a beautiful estuary that is part of Boundary Bay. It's a great spot for birdwatching, especially during migration seasons, as many species stop here to rest and feed.
Makes sense why it's called Mud Bay. Look how shallow the coast is along here. You can see it, look, on the breakwaters. And what's the bigger stretch of water out to our 2 o'clock?
The larger body of water at our 2 o'clock is Boundary Bay, which is known for its rich biodiversity and is a popular spot for birdwatching, especially during migration seasons.
Do you get whales swimming in this area?
Yes, this area is known for whale sightings, especially during the migration seasons when orcas and humpback whales can be spotted swimming in the waters nearby.
Alaska 2192, Vancouver approach, roger, QNH 3021. Alaska 2192, Vancouver approach, turn left heading 075.
Turn left heading 075, Alaska 2192. Turn left heading 340, descend and maintain 3000 until established on the localizer. Cleared for ILS runway 26 left approach, Alaska 2192.
See, that's another example of it. Look, you've heard two different conversations there that have been played back with a piece of each conversation. It's going to be really tough to get the programming to do that, because how can you connect sound samples without knowing the full context? So someone there is asking what so Peter Bassi is saying he must be using the just released NVIDIA 6090. Well, the 5090 has been released, hasn't it? Or it's been announced at least, not released. I'm using a 4090, by the way. I'm sure if you have a look around at some of the places online that somebody will have simulated whales as an add-on somehow. So we're just making our way down towards Orcas. Gonna stay near the land. How are we doing for fuel, by the way? I haven't looked after it at all so far, but we haven't been that far. Yeah, we're about to run out of fuel. Let's switch tanks. Whoa! We just oversped the airframe. At least you get some warning. We went right up to 180 knots. We were right on the edge. Let's try some stuff out with the ATC then. Should we ask for vectors to get to Orcas from here? If I straighten this up at, say, 1500 feet. So I've asked the autopilot to climb at 500 feet a minute to get to 1500, and I put us on heading mode. And let's go and ask for vectors to Orcas. So what's the full name of the airport? It's just Orcas 1, isn't it? I'll just call it Orcas on the radio and see what they come back with. So see how flexible
5 miles, safe, turn left heading 325, so maintain 3000 till established on localizer cleared ILS 26 approach. American 452.
See, there's another instance of
American 452, turn right heading 110.
that was played backwards.
Beaver 93 Echo. Contact Seattle Center on 134.905.
Contacting Seattle Center 134.905, Beaver 93 Echo. Seattle Center, Beaver 93 Echo with you at 1500 feet en route to Anacortes. VFR with flight following.
Beaver 93 Echo. Seattle Center. Good afternoon, Surrey, QNH 30.56.
QNH 30.56, Beaver 93 Echo. Very cool. Okay, so if we can just cheat and press comma, and it will do it for us. Because obviously this is an analog Coleman window. Colesman window. Is it It's Colesman, isn't it? So, I was about to say, let's get some vectors to Orcas. Seattle Center requesting vectors to Orcas Island. Beaver 93 Echo.
Beaver 93 Echo. Turn left heading 027 for Orcas Island.
That's wrong. Unless there's an Orcas Island somewhere else.
Beaver 93 Echo. Own navigation.
Own navigation, Beaver 93 Echo. That's interesting, isn't it? It got that completely wrong. There might be an Orcas Island, because that's just Orcas, not Orcas Island. Let's try again. Seattle Center requesting vectors to Orcas, Beaver 93 Echo. I'll say Orcas Airport next time. Again, this is me trying things out.
Beaver 93 Echo. Turn right heading 190 for Orcas Island.
Turn right heading 190 for Orcas, Beaver 93 Echo. I think that's right this time. So it did call it Orcas Island, isn't it? It had something horrendously wrong there in its logic. You just need to have your wits about you, I guess. So, Orcas is in that gap in the hills. So we're going to get this beautiful approach to it.
Beaver 93 Echo. Contact Vancouver approach on 128.175.
Contacting Vancouver approach on 128.175. Beaver 93 Echo. Vancouver approach, Beaver 93 Echo with you, 1500 feet en route to Anacortes with flight following.
Beaver 93 Echo, Vancouver approach. Good afternoon, Surrey, altimeter 30.56.
Heading 340, correct track 501.
Altimeter 30.56, Beaver 93 Echo.
Career track 501, please verify your altitude and heading. You should be maintaining 5,000 feet and heading direct to Payne, Everett. Beaver 93 Echo, own navigation.
So, someone's asking, can I ask for vectors to a specific, or somewhere random? Let's go and pick somewhere. Doe Bay, yep. Or let's go. No, let's pick someone over here. So Sunset Beach, maybe, or I don't know. I'm just trying to pick somewhere. Sinclair Island. There we go. There's no actual aviation stuff there. So is it Seattle Approach we're connected to at the moment? No, Vancouver Approach. Vancouver Approach requesting vectors to Sinclair Island, Beaver 93 Echo.
Beaver 93 Echo, fly heading 210 for Sinclair Island.
That's wrong. You got that wrong. Beaver 93 Echo. Let's see how it responds to that.
Beaver 93 Echo, fly heading 210 for Sinclair Island.
we correct it and tell it what the angle actually is. According to my chart, Sinclair Island is 136 degrees. Beaver 93 Echo.
Beaver 93 Echo, roger. Fly heading 136 for Sinclair Island.
There you go. There's the large language model kicking in and just accepting what we tell it. We could essentially probably tell it that, you know, I don't know, a giraffe can ride a bicycle, and it would just accept it. So it has its limitations, but it is improving rapidly. So let's come off the autopilot.
So Beaver 93 Echo, own navigation.
Own navigation, Beaver 93 Echo. So Orcas, there's no wind around here, it's just absolutely still. Just these big old heavy clouds hanging in the sky. So we're going to announce downwind for a touch and go in a moment. So if we go past the runway and go for 3-4, yes, we'll circle around, come in for 3-4. Get some speed on first. Let me just straighten the view up. So Sabine is saying, don't you fly with real ATC, Jonathan, with real people, or is it limited to certain places? Say Intentions populates all of the air traffic services personnel with robots. The advantage of that is that you've always got the controllers that should be there. The disadvantage is that they're all robots. So you can intersperse it in the same way you can with Beyond ATC with VATSIM, so you can interoperate it with it, so then you just fill the gaps. So you can see there's Orcas down there, and we're going to fly past it on the left pattern for approach. So we're going to drop down to 1,000 feet. Probably need a bit higher than that actually because of the hills. And then call down wind. Now because we've got flight following and we're on the was it Vancouver approach we're on at the moment? Yeah. Because we're on Vancouver approach, we'll have to, I guess, request it rather than just announce it. Have they got a tower here, by the way? Let's have a look. Yes, they have. 132.7. And will it come up on here? No. Let's request the frequency. Vancouver approach, Beaver 93 Echo, requesting frequency for the tower at Orcas.
Beaver 93 Echo, contact Orcas Island Tower on 128.25.
Contacting Orcas Tower 128.25. Beaver 93 Echo. So we can just click on that then. Orcas Tower, Beaver 93 Echo, downwind for runway 34. I should have said touch and go. Wonder what they'll come back with. Maybe it's not staffed today. Just checking the frequency. We've got the right frequency. So we're going to ignore it for a moment. I know people wanted to see some landings with the Beaver, so I'm going to do a touch and go regardless of what ATC is saying or not saying. So we're just extending downwind. We nearly three-pointed it. It's a bit rough, but look at it, it goes up like an elevator. Look at that. That's with full flaps, obviously. Its short takeoff performance is amazing. It's got so much torque, it's untrue. So we're going to return to a Vancouver approach. So if we go back, Vancouver approach, Beaver 93 Echo requesting flight following to Friday Harbour.
Beaver 93 Echo, you already have flight following. Continue on current heading.
Continuing on current heading, Beaver 93 Echo. That's interesting, look, it knew we were going the right direction.
On current heading, roger.
Very cool. Obviously there's a hill in our way, but we can navigate around that. So one of the things that they're working on, I'm just reading the live stream comments there about the ATC having knowledge of aircraft around you. They're working on sequencing. Obviously it's an enormously difficult thing to do because the service then in the cloud has to keep knowledge of everything nearby. So I know Beyond ATC are working on this as well, and they're actually doing it. Well, it's not cheating, but they're actually going to inject the aircraft into the airspace around you. So if you've got, you know, like flight radar 24 data, they're going to be putting the airplanes in the airspace. So when you're flying the big jets, it'll be trying to sequence you in amongst the real traffic. So I'm not sure if
Southwest X75 passing 8,000 feet,
We're climbing up to flight level 230 direct to all.
I'm not sure at the moment if say
Southwest
intention.
X-ray 75, Vancouver approach. Climb and maintain flight level 270.
I'm not sure that say intentions at the moment has awareness of where other aircraft are in relation to you. It's in development at the moment, as far as I'm aware. It's also in heavy development at Beyond ATC as well. Like I said, so the real game they want to play is with sequencing. So, you know, so getting people to be, for example, even on a transatlantic track or something like that, to put the correct separation in between the aircraft. That's the end game. But for the moment, I would say intentions, the best use of it is just to get people used to radio telephony and to use the, you know, the phraseology and to form their requests and responses in the correct way. And then it's a very, very small leap then, either to the real world or to VATSIM. So it makes a lot. I know a lot of people seem to be quite what's the word, intimidated about, you know, even looking at VATSIM. So if you get used to or talking to a controller in a simulated environment, maybe that a lot of people would see a lot less risk in doing that. So it would, you know, it would make the learning curve far less steep and take away a lot of the anxiety, maybe. So yes, I think it can do maths. So let's ask the ATC how far we are from Friday Harbour. We could ask the mentor as well. I think they will do it. So let's just have a check. Who are we talking to again? We're on Vancouver Approach at the moment. Vancouver Approach. How many miles from my current location to Friday Harbour?
Beaver 93 Echo, approximately 10 miles to Friday Harbor.
10 miles. We tested this the other day actually with asking the mentor some speed, time and distance calculations, and it did them really easily. So let's ask the mentor. We'd have to change the person in the right hand seat. So instead of having the tour guide, we want the mentor, and we'll go for chance from real sim gear. Okay. So, at our current speed, how long is it going to take to get to Friday Harbour?
At our current ground speed of 93 knots and being 10.2 miles away, it will take approximately 6.5 minutes to reach Friday. Keep an eye on your fuel and prepare for descent as we approach.
It's very good, isn't it? So the developers, I will say the developers of both Beyond ATC and Say Intentions are very amenable to suggestions, and it may be for the more obvious things that it's already in development. But they both have very good communities, and you know, you can ask and they will respond. Let's ask the mentor a bit about Friday Harbour Airport. Can you tell us some information about Friday Harbour Airport?
Friday Harbor Airport, located on San Juan Island in Washington, has a runway length of 2,500 feet and is primarily used for general aviation. It offers a beautiful approach over the water, and be mindful of the surrounding terrain and potential wildlife on the runway. It's a great destination for a scenic flight.
It's getting quite dark, isn't it? So once we finish here, we'll go straight across the bay over to Anacortes. So this is runway 16. Vancouver approach, Beaver 93 Echo, direct in for touch and go, runway 16 at Friday Harbour.
Beaver 93 Echo, expect touch and go runway 16 at Friday Harbour. Contact Friday Harbour Tower on 128.25 when ready.
Oh, they do have a tower. I didn't think they did. Friday Harbour Tower, Beaver 93 Echo, on approach, runway 16 for touch and go. Friday Harbour Tower, com check. Some sun's just burst through the cloud. Yeah, they don't have a working tower. I didn't think they did. So sometimes, I think you sometimes get discrepancies where the information available to the controllers in the cloud is different than the reality in the simulator. Okay, let's go back to Vancouver approach. Seeing as we had nothing from Vancouver, from Friday Harbour. Vancouver approach, Beaver 93 Echo with you climbing to 1500 feet en route to Anacortes. VFR with flight following.
Beaver 93 Echo, Vancouver approach. Good afternoon, Friday Harbour, altimeter 30.56.
Copy altimeter, Beaver 93 Echo. Let's see what they come back with that. I'm just trying things all the time.
On 1 o'clock, station to advise you right now, altitude, but cancellation of IFR.
So a short...
Beaver 93 Echo, altimeter 30.56, roger.
That's interesting, isn't it? So even if you confirm, they confirm your confirmation. So you don't necessarily need to confirm information that's passed, only instructions. Okay, let's have a look at the map. So we want to be about 80 degrees on the compass, and we're rotating gently around.
Beaver 93 Echo, Anacortes Airport at your 2 o'clock, 13 miles. Change to advisory frequency approved. Radar services terminated. Squawk VFR, safe flight.
Anacortes Airport, 2 o'clock, 13 miles. Change to advisory frequency approved. Radar service terminated. Squawk VFR. Good day, Beaver 93 Echo. Let's get this on heading mode, shall we? It's still climbing like crazy, look. So altitude should be that, vertical speed should be that. So we need to go and change frequency to the advisory frequency, so CTAF. So then we're just announcing, so there appears to be no tower in operation at Anacortes. Let's go and check that, see what it says in LittleNavMap. See, maybe this is wrong. I have not updated LittleNavMap for a while because, yeah, look, we got Unicom. So we're making broadcasts, we're not communicating with a tower or anything like that. So it's correct this time. Let's get some speed on. I don't think it's got Mayday engine failures programmed into it yet. I had one. I had a real one. But I didn't shout. I didn't call Mayday. I just called an emergency, and it ignored it. I was taking off in the Phoenix A320 last week, and on departure, the FMC decided to lose the route. It was like, you know, like somebody had fired a shotgun through the middle of its memory. The first sign that things were going wrong was the autopilot started pitching up. And of course I slammed the throttles forwards and then started to diagnose what was going on, and after a few seconds I looked down. And it reminded me a little bit actually of Sully, the movie, with him saying that they needed the 30 seconds. I did it a bit quicker than 30 seconds to figure out what was going on, but seemed like an age at the time. There were alarms going off in the cockpit, and it turned out, yeah, that the FMC had dropped the route. It was obviously a bug somewhere. But yeah, I called ATC on the departures, or sorry, the tower. I was still on tower, and I said call sign calling an emergency, requesting immediate return, and they ignored it. So we soldiered on, and I actually asked the mentor in the aeroplane what you would do in that situation if you have an instrumentation failure on takeoff and you lose the route from the FMC, and he said you continue if you can using other instruments. Whether that's correct, I don't know. I guess that each airline would have their own standard operating procedures around that, around coping with, you know, serious failures. But I guess it paid off that I've written the book on how to program the blooming FMCs on most of these airplanes, haven't I? So for the next few minutes I sat on selected mode on the autopilot in the Airbus and sat and reprogrammed it by hand, which it accepted, and then we got on with the flight. But it was a bit hair-raising for a few minutes. So we're heading out towards Anacortes, and we're giving ourselves a nice route in. Should we go left pattern again? So we'll go out this way. We'll do the classic US pattern entry, which will bring us in 45 degrees to downwind. So let's get rid of some speed. Yeah, so we'll be looking to turn in about over here somewhere to do that, and then that. But we'll descend to 1,000 feet as we do it. This is cheating looking at GPS, isn't it? But we can get our bearings looking down here for the airfield. It's just hidden behind that hill there. It really is kind of disguised. Let's turn the autopilot off. Anacortes traffic, Beaver 93 Echo entering a left pattern for landing runway 36. So we come in a bit early, doesn't matter. Basically anywhere along the downwind, you come in at 45 degrees to the downwind and aim to come in at 1,000 feet. You can see it's really concealed behind the tree line. So we're just looking to visually judge this on the way in. Should we go and put the landing lights on? We haven't used them yet, have we? That's the instrument lights. What do they look like? Let's have a look. Oh, they're not tremendously bright, are they? So you can see there's the airfield hiding down there. Okay, we're on the reciprocal now. It's down to 500 feet. Anacortes traffic, Beaver 93 Echo, downwind for runway 36. Getting a bit slow. Hill is covering it, isn't it? What is going on? The trees around here make... Have we got a scenery problem going on? I am going to... What on earth is going on? Oh, it's the other side of the hill. That just goes to show, doesn't it, how much you can... There it is, look. How much you can be fooled by the landscape. Okay, so we'll go round again. Anacortes traffic, Beaver 93 Echo, re-entering traffic pattern for runway 36, downwind. Just shows you, doesn't it, when you go VFR completely in an unfamiliar place, how quickly you can get disoriented. So now we know where the airport is, you can see it easily, look. So back up to 1,000 feet. Extend downwind. It doesn't help that there's pillars in the way. We want to slide forwards, don't we? And we can see the airport over there then. Get it into our sort of 7 or 8 o'clock position. It's getting dark as well, isn't it? It's not very well lit either. Although it's just these dark clouds. Really. Anacortes traffic, Beaver 93 Echo, turning finals, runway 36. the weirdest runway layout ever. I don't think it's correct somehow, but it's supposed to be. It's the Orbex version. Pushing it on the brakes, look. The tail lifts in the air. That's funny. Should we go and park the other side of the 337 over there? I wonder when Coronado are going to release all of their various aeroplanes back into the sim. Okay. I don't know if they've actually got off switches on some of these things. Let's go and have a look down there. So if I turn head tracking off, it sometimes can be quite difficult in the cockpit to see this stuff. So I'll take you down now with the keyboard. So off button works for that. I don't think, yeah, a lot of these have, yeah, that won't because it keeps rotating. Yeah, so it is just powered straight from the radio switch. Interesting. I don't think you can turn the tablet off, can you? It stays on no matter what you do. There we go. So that was good fun. Again, another testing session with Say Intentions, putting it through the ringer a bit. That was interesting though, wasn't it? Look how quickly we lost. Because we didn't get sight of the airport to begin with. We were kind of taking it as read that it was the other side of the tree line, but it really wasn't. It was further across. Just shows you how quickly you can become disoriented, doesn't it? Anyway. That was good fun. A bit of a meandering route across Vancouver from Squamish down to Orcas and then Friday Harbour and over to Anacortes. Right, that was the de Havilland DHC-2 Beaver, one of the stock aeroplanes that comes with the simulator. Actually, no, I don't think it's stock, is it? Or maybe it is because it's in the career mode. So yeah, maybe it is. But yeah, we'd have to check that. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you all again soon. Take care. I'll post this up as a blog post as well, so if you're not following my blog, if you look in the notes of the videos, it tells you a link to where the blog is. So then you get an email whenever I've done a flight, because I always post them out as blog posts, which sends out the blog post as an email to all the subscribers. See you again soon.